Have you ever had a swivel knife drag like this on you before? It's very common, especially if you're starting with an inexpensive knife, which is going to come in most kits. Now, so these are some knives that are going in my beginner's kits. I'm going through and getting those honed up so they're ready to go, and I thought, hey, let's jump on here and show you how you can fix this problem. So if you've ever had a problem with a knife that's dragging on you, giving you choppy cuts like that, I'm going to show you just in a few steps how we can get that smoothed up and running pretty darn nice for an inexpensive knife. So let's check it out. All right, let's look again real quick and watch this knife cut, and you can kind of almost see that drag as it's going, but then see how it's making some of those choppy marks in there. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little trip to the hardware store here and get a piece of sandpaper. Now this is 600 grit sandpaper here. A higher grit like this, the bigger the number, the finer the grit, right? And what we're going to do is watch this angle on our blade, okay? That angle is really important because I don't want to take the tip of that blade off. I'm just wanting to kind of hone up and really get this smoothed down a little bit. So right here, I'm going to tip that so that angle is the angle that we looked at on that blade. I'm going to pull on one side. Let's turn that over. Pull on the other side. Notice I'm flipping that blade each time. So we want to make sure things are even. I'm pulling really even, making sure when you get to the end, we're not rocking up. It's real easy to want to rock up like that, but that'll actually take the tip of that blade off and really dull that knife. We don't want to dull it. We're just wanting to hone things up here, because a lot of times an inexpensive knife like this, you know, they're mass produced overseas and might not be really fine-tuned. It's not like a higher end knife that you get from some of the really great knife makers that are available, which I'm sure you're going to get to try those out once you're ready to upgrade tools at some point. But this is a way to get by with one of these. So we took a few passes on that paper there. Now I'm going to show you when we check in between here, because there's one more step. See, we still have a little bit of that choppiness, some of that drag in there, but that's going to smooth up, make sure we don't have any burrs on there, but it's still a little rough, right? Because we were on that sandpaper grit, so it's not super smooth yet. But that's going to bring us to our next thing here. Just a scrap of leather. I'm going to turn to the back side, but now this is called rouge, sometimes jeweler rouge, but what it is it's a buffing compound. So if you go to the hardware store, any of their sharpening section, just ask somebody to get, like if you're looking for any sharpening things, you're sharpening stones and whatnot, this is a compound. So it works similar to like a sandpaper, and it's abrasive. They have different abrasions on there. The different colors coordinate to it. I'm not super picky on colors. Somebody that's way better at knife sharpening can tell you different colors and which one's the finer grit or not, but this brown one seems to work pretty good. I'm going to take this and rub this on the back side of a scrap of leather here. Okay, and you can see that getting built up on that and kind of fits in down into the rough side of that leather is why I like using the rough side. But now we're going to take that knife, and this is going to polish that blade. So we got the burrs off with the sandpaper. Now we're going to do the same thing where I pull on one side, watching that angle, turn that over to the other side, pull that back. You'll hear people talk about stropping their knife. Okay, this is what you would use to strop your knife. So this is a good maintenance thing as you're using your knife, going along, making some cuts. Then you can go back and strop your knife. So this is a really good maintenance thing, and what this is doing is just polishing that blade, getting it nice and smooth. Again, watching to not roll that, because if you roll that, you'll take that tip off as well and actually dull your knife. We don't want to dull it here. We're just wanting to fine tune that. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our leather. Now let's try this. Ooh, look at that cut. Now I'm going to switch. So I was cutting with this point. I'm going to turn, check this point as well, make sure everything's looking good. This one I feel just a touch bit of drag, so there must be a little bit more to go here. Give this a few more passes on the strop. Now that's feeling really good. Now we can get in here. Give that a little test. Run that knife. Now for kind of an inexpensive starter knife, it's really pulling some pretty decent cuts. So just a few steps, couple real inexpensive products at the hardware store, and we take a knife that's making choppy, dragging type of cuts. Now it's making nice, smooth, deep cuts that fade out really nice. Hope you find value in what we're doing here. Be sure to subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss out on future tips and tricks. And if you're just getting started looking for more resources and tools to get you going with, I'll put a link in the description to our website. We got patterns, courses, that sort of thing in there. But appreciate you guys. Let me know any questions that you have in the comments. We'll try to answer those both in the comments and in future videos. So we'll see you guys on the next video.